Hi guys, my name's Ormie and welcome back once again. We're here for another episode of the Swansea City Adventures. It's season 11. We've only got one more to go after this until we are up to date. So without further ado, let's jump straight on in and see what happened very recently. Well guys, as you can see, Community Shield first up, 2-0 over Man City. It was a good game, good win, good way to start off the season. So, pretty happy with that. Then on to the Super Cup, and not so good. Stade Rennais, not a big team, not a very good team either. But yeah, we actually went ahead in this match quite early on. We did quite well in that first half. We kind of limited them to very much long shots and half chances. Unfortunately, they scored from a corner just before half time, and then we came out firing early on, but a late free kick and then a complete mix-up at the back, huge defensive mistakes, and we just let them swamp us for the last 5 minutes. So the pressure told. They grabbed a goal on the counter-attack after my defender just completely messed up a clearance. So very unfortunate, but we weren't good enough in the day, and Rennais were. So Stade Rennais won that Super Cup. Next up, we're going to look at the league. It is our bread and butter. As you can see, it's another league title. You shouldn't be surprised by now, guys. You've got Blackburn going down with 109 goals conceded. Along with them, it's been Brighton and Cardiff. So, not a good season for those teams. At the top, it's the similar kind of teams we've been seeing all the way through. Wolves still hanging around in 7th. Not a bad place for them. Everton, Chelsea. Man City, Arsenal, coming back into it, Arsenal a bit, past couple of seasons. And then Man United, of course, our very, very much our biggest rivals domestically. So they come back into it. Liverpool, quite near down the bottom, not having a great time. Newcastle falling down there as well. Spurs mid-table, so a little bit of change, but not really what you'd expect over, well, what is it, 11 years now? So you would have expected a bit more sort of fluctuation in the league than that. But 33 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses for us. A huge amount of goals, best defense, best attack, great goal difference, and it matches our points total of 102. So very pleased with that in total. And so we're going to round up the domestic season. Capital One Cup. And so as you can see, here's the 4th round tree. We beat Southampton, Wolves, and then that got us into the semi-final against Man United. A big, big win there for us. And we met Man City in the final. Now they'd overcome Millwall by a goal, Watford by 2, and then quite easily got past Stoke in the semi-final, to be fair to them. But in the final, it did take us extra time. But we got our hands on the Capital One Cup again, and that's what is important. We won the trophy, we kept our glorious record domestically intact. So, quite pleased with that, but it just goes to show that no matter how good and how dominant we've been, there are a few of these clubs still giving us a little bit of trouble, so it's quite competitive. Next is on to the FA Cup. As you can see, we had a far easier time of this. We overcame Ipswich by 3, Plymouth by 4, and then Aston Villa by 3. So, quite an easy path to the final. We met Man City in the final again. You can see they overcame Notts County. It took penalties, but then they overcame Stoke. A tight win over Newcastle, who were in decent form, and in the final, well, we just obliterated them. It was our last but one game. It was the only game after it we had was the Champions League final. A little bit of spoiler there. We do get to the Champions League final this season, but a huge win, and we'd rested people, and they had a couple of injuries and whatnot, but on the whole, we used our squad a lot better than anyone else, and that's how I get success. So, delighted to win the FA Cup again. Not too many wins in this competition, but really enjoy it when we do pick it up. And so, on to the next. So, Club World Cup, you can see then Suwon overcame Antlers, Chivas came, and it took penalties, but they did beat Etoile de Sahel, and myself and Boca Juniors, we got through via the ranking system. Then we both overcame our opponents, 4-0 for Boca, 4-1 for us over Chivas. They were a much tougher team than Suwon, so I was very confident going into the final. And we've taken a couple of Boca's big players over the last couple of years, their best youngsters, so not surprised to see a big win, 5-1, and again, champions of the world. And then on to the last competition, the UEFA Champions League, of course. As you can see, big wins in some of these games, 8-2 for Ajax, 7-2 Man United. There's a 10-2 for Real Madrid, and 6-0 over Atletico for ourselves. The big surprise for me in this was probably Ajax beating Lyon by so much, and Metalist just sneaking past Juventus was quite surprising as well. But in the quarterfinals, tight game between City and Real Madrid. United overcame Ajax, Barcelona edge out PSG, two real giants of world football at this. And then ourselves, we decimated Metalist. So it was a very tight game between ourselves and Barcelona away from home, but we got the job done. We rounded off with a cracking performance at the Liberty just to finish things out. Then at the top of the draw there, you can see penalties for Man United to overcome Real Madrid. And that suits me because at this point, I know Man United's players. I know they are on a slight decline. And we beat them in the league, we beat them in cups, year in, year out, we have their number, whereas Real Madrid are still a little bit of a tricky opponent sometimes. So happier to face Man United and picking up a 3-1 win to lift yet another Champions League trophy. And so we're going to have a look now at the transfers. There's a few more that will not be shown, which are like free transfers and the rest of it. They're not that important. But if you look at the transfers in this season, £43.5 million worth of them, 18 players in, and all of them youngsters. I don't believe any of these were actually for the first team. So we'll go through them, and as you can see, quite a lot of big teams being raided here. So first up, we're going to look at Stefan Kowalczyk. Now, he's a very good young striker, as you can see. Bought him at age 15, he's now age 16. His potential has dropped, unfortunately, but I believe I can sell him on for a lot more than the 1.2 I bought him. So it's not going to be a complete loss, but he's not going to develop how I particularly wanted. To be honest with you, I don't think that potential just isn't there anymore. Then on the same day, I dropped £3 million to pick up Barcelona attacking midfielder Xavi Roca. Young 19-year-old, developing quite decently, high determination, which is what I like to see. And a good smattering of stats all the way across. Again, not huge potential, but we should be able to sell him for 8 to 10 million, and more than double or triple our money there. So that'll end up being a good deal. Gregory Rousseau, now a decent young defender, a big amount of money spent on him, and I'm not sure I'm going to get it back. But the main reason I did spend that money was those physicals. I thought that there was a lot in there, and hopefully we'll make our money back on him. But I don't think he's actually shown us enough over the couple of seasons to actually be considered a part of my first team plans moving forward. Stephen Gregory, a very decent little right midfielder from Roma, we do pick up a lot of bargains really from Roma. There's no other way you can describe them. For less than 2 to 3 million, you can sign a really, really classy youngster from Roma in the future, 10 years down the line. So he's a free kick machine. He's got good physicals for his age, and good potential. So I hope he actually comes to the fore the next couple of seasons. Then there were two big deals. Lyon having some of the better youngsters, so I decided to splash the cash. First off, 8.5 million on Ferhat Sekar, a German young striker. And as you can see, there's a ton of acceleration, good pace. I'm hoping he picks up another point or two in that over the coming years. And if we can round out those mental stats, especially his anticipation, his composure, decisions, and off-the-ball skills, I think he'll be a goal machine. Now, he can take free kicks and penalties, and, he's not the best player at the moment, but just 17. There's a huge potential to him, so I'm sure that'll end up being a good deal, whether we sell him for double or triple that, or again, if he makes it onto the bench or into the first team and scores some goals, then I'll be absolutely delighted. Alongside him is a centre-back, Khalid Ben Khalid, who I call Ken. And as you can see with Ken, he's got pretty good physicals. He's got a very nice rounded stat of mentals for a young age. And, his heading, marking, passing, his tackling, first touch, they're all there. They're all solid. Great potential. I bought him at age 16 for 16 million. He's now 18 and worth half that. But I'm very confident he will be a 20 to 30 million pound player one day, and that he will be a star for our first team. So, Ken will make it. Now, we've seen most of the good players, so I'm just going to skip through some of the rest. Keith Kemper's young centre-back from PSV for less than $1 million. Decent pickup, can resell. Yetkin Katulis, again, not really making it. Resale value there. Emmanuel, another one I think. Good pace, good dribbling, but no potential, so that's a resale. João Carvalho, another resale. Good physicals, but little else really. Then we move up to Vasco Fernandez on the right back position. Again, good physicals, decent mentals, no potential, so probably a resale again here. John Van Leeuwen, another striker. Decent potential, decent amount I paid for him, so he might make it for another couple of seasons before being sold. But I've got far better striking options than Van Leeuwen, so he might not make it. The last of my sporting bunch, Johnny Suqueira. Again, that's another resale. As you can see, I've already sold some of these. They're at their new clubs, but you can just tell by looking at them, not quite what I was hoping for in that season or 2 seasons they've had to develop. So quickly move them on, short, quick profits, and that's the way forward. Piet Smith, I believe he's still at the club. He's out on loan. He might make it. I like his mentals for his age. And again, if not, we'll sell him for 3, maybe 5 million, maybe as much as 8 million. And we'll more than make our money back on these players. So it's an investment in the future of the club and the finances. Then Aziz Zoshimov, 20 years age now. Bought him as a young 18-year-old. He's got some cracking mentals there. Concentration, work rate, determination. They're pretty good. He's got well-rounded stats in other areas. He's strong, can jump and head. As a basic limited defender, he could do a fine job. So he's there for cover at the moment. In a couple of years, we will be selling him when he hits his full potential, and we will make the most money we can out of him. And that'll probably be in 2 seasons' time when he's 22, maybe 23. And I reckon we can get I'd say about 8 to 9 million for him. So we're looking at a profit of about 6.5 plus, which is a fantastic return. And then come the 3 Greek signings from Olympiacos. I just went and stole their best prospects because they were doing quite well in Europe at a certain point. Stamatis Chorianopoulos, no physicals whatsoever, but fantastic mentals. So, sending him out on loan, that's definitely going to be a resale. He hasn't trained as well as I wanted him to. Then Stelios Thanopoulos, again, a little bit disappointing on the physicals, but he is young. He'd be a defensive midfielder for me, I think. Sort of a deep lying playmaker in front of the back. And, we'll just see how he turns out, but not potential enough to really enjoy. And then Charalobos Soukalas, decent natural acceleration there, high determination. So he could make it as a striker, but more likely be a bench player or a resale. But we will not lose money. Out of that 43, I reckon the 2 Lyon players, Ken and Secker, they are going to be first team players. So that's 25 million, roughly, spent on 2 first team players for the next 10 years, which is, a pretty good return. So the rest of this now, like 18 odd million, let's just round it up to about 20. You've got 15 or 16 young players, and we're probably I'd say we get 50 to 60 million back easily on that. So we're going to triple our money, and we spent, 12 and a half on a first team player. So we get 2 first team players for about 12 and a half each, or 25 in total. So pretty decent transfers. On the way out, more than covering the way in. Most of it done by just one transfer. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, the latest in a chain of players sold to Man City for 40 million. Coming to the end of his career, he wanted too much wages. I thought, that we could do better with the money we had. So out he goes. Like I say, he financed 90% of that incoming haul as well. Really pleased, really sad though to lose him, because he was a key player for us. He was a very, very good player in his time with the club, and enjoyed managing him dramatically. So I hope he goes on through well, but not well enough to worry us. Jose Manuel Marti, cracking little player, but wasn't getting anywhere near our team. He was sat in the reserves, and I thought, he's kind of wasting away there. So sold him quite cheaply, 5.25. I reckon I could have got probably up to double that, maybe 10, 12 million for this kind of player. You can see his mentals are pretty good, and his technicals are very good as well. So, there's a lot to like about Marti, but he wasn't getting in our team. So it's just time to move him on. Metin Kartal, midfielder, again, really good, really well developed across the pitch. But he doesn't have that many weaknesses. He's a really nice sort of deep lying playmaker or central midfielder. And had to sell him. Just was not room in my team. Again, quite cheap, 4.9. I reckon again that's a 12 to 15 million pound player. Could have got 25 between these two. Imanol Badiola, another good left back, pure pace. I think I did well to get 10 million from him, because he doesn't have a lot elsewhere. So, it's pretty much relying on his physicals. But he will be a good player. He'll be a good player for the next 8 to 10 years, maybe. So if Everton keep him for that length of time, they will have had a good deal out of it. But I think I got the best money I could for him at that point, which was nice after selling Catal and Marti a little bit cheaply. And then another fairly cheap deal, James Blair out to Rangers. Now, Blair, he's got great physicals there. Something you can really do with, especially that jumping. Not great heading, but it's half the battle. Good strength as well, so he can really be a lone striker, I feel. You add in that anticipation, composure, determination off the ball, work rate, finishing. He's going to score goals. He's going to score loads of goals. But he wasn't good enough to get into my team, so we sold him on. That's probably very cheap. I would hope to get 15 plus for that, but he just hadn't played the first team games. He hadn't really, performed at a high level. He'd been out on loan at championship level clubs and abroad, but he hadn't proved himself in the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, or any of those divisions. So, his reputation probably wasn't high enough to get the price that his ability actually deserved. So, fairly cheap deals on the whole, but more than enough to finance these bunch of players, which will take us forward to a new level. So all in all, really quite pleased. So that takes us to the end of the 2022-2023 season. 11 years in the future, we've done some wonderful things at this club. And as you can see, we're building for the future again. There's more youngsters coming through. We've had a board takeover. We've had a new stadium approved, which will be coming up at the end of, I believe, 2025. So there's a lot still to come. But for now, I think we've had so much success that it's starting to look like time to leave the club. And not for another few years, maybe another 3 or 4. But definitely, I can see the point approaching where we'd have done everything that we possibly could. We'll have won trophies, defended them, won multiples of them, and the bank balance is huge. The youth is fantastic, the reserves are fantastic, the staff is the best in the world, the first team is the best in the world. So, there's not too much more we can actually do with Swansea. But there is another year to catch up on, and as I say, I feel there's another maybe 3 or 4 seasons after that where we can play and still get some fun stuff out of the game. So stick around, and I hope you walk on that journey with me. But until next time, guys, I've been Chris Ormie. Thanks for watching, and take care.